Well, this morning I want to begin by showing a brief video that was posted on YouTube this past week by Ali Pollock, and it was shown on ABC World News Tonight. Ali is an 8th grade girl from Westport, Connecticut. And as we turn down the lights and turn on the video, you will get to hear what she has to say. You'll get to see it because she says it without words. Friends, today's sermon in our Lenten Let's Get Lost sermon series is on identity theft. And I know you were probably thinking that I was going to talk about how to keep your credit cards and bank accounts and social security numbers and Facebook pages safe so that no one could steal your identity and pretend to be you. And as important a sermon as that might be, today I am here to talk about a much larger and a much more serious kind of identity theft. It's the kind of identity theft that happens all the time. It happens all over the globe. It happens to all kinds of people. It even happened to Ali Pollock. It's the identity theft that happens through bullying, through insensitive words and actions, through prejudice, through arrogance, through exclusion, through insensitivity, through just plain meanness. Identity theft happens through implicitly or explicitly participating in human systems and human groups that deny the gospel truth. That you, me, everybody is a wonderful, blessed, unique, worthy, accepted, loved, chosen, treasured gift of God. Identity thieves seek to make us question the reality that God has a place and a purpose and a meaning and a plan that only we can fulfill. Identity theft happens whenever we look upon others as humans do. They look upon outward appearances. But the gospel truth is that God looks upon the heart. So now let me share with you a story. For ages, the nation of Israel didn't have a king, but about 1000 BC, kings had become the rage. All the popular countries had kings. So Israel complains to God, "Why can't we be like everybody else?" God's first response was, "Well, because you already have a king. I am your king. That's why. You are not supposed to be like other nations." But Israel's whining finally wears down God's ears, and God says, "All right, enough is enough. You can have your king." Well, the choice falls on one named Saul to be the first king of Israel. This Saul, we are told, is the tallest, handsomest guy in the whole country. Talk about outward appearances. But in no time, the king job isn't working out for Saul. And so God tells the prophet Samuel that it's time for a new king. This prophet Samuel is a real king maker. What he says goes because the people knew that he was listening to God. So God tells Samuel that the new king will be one of the sons of a farmer named Jesse from Bethlehem. The story doesn't even need to note the fact that Jesse's clan wasn't exactly your fine old Irving Park, Greensboro Country Club kind of family. In fact, there was no old Irving Park neighborhood and Greensboro Country Club in Bethlehem. Bethlehem was a nowhere. It was a Reedsville or a Madison or a Sedalia. Not the kind of place that you're going to go king recruiting. And then there is the family. Good grief. This Jesse's grandmother was Ruth, who was an illegal alien. Jesse's grandfather was Boaz, whose ancestors included a Canaanite woman named Tamar, who nearly got herself executed for adultery, and another heathen Canaanite woman named Rahab, who was the madam at the Jericho brothel. Samuel goes to this unlikely family in unlikely Bethlehem and tells pleased as punch Jesse to line up his sons. So 7 strong young candidates stand before Samuel. Samuel looks at each one of them in the eyes and awaits some voice that would tell him that this is the one. From the oldest to the youngest, Samuel passes by, each time thinking that the young star before him looks like he could be cut out of the cloth of kings. But each time the voice inside him says no. And then comes these haunting words. "For the Lord sees not as humans see." Humans look on outward appearances, but the Lord looks upon the heart. So it goes for all 7 sons. Samuel says to perplex Jesse, "Are all your sons here?" Well, the old man answers, "That's a lot of them except for the runt who is out back watching the sheep, but you wouldn't want him. God wouldn't want him, not little David. He's just a kid. He's got a face full of acne and he's vertically challenged. I didn't even get him to clean up for inspection." We look upon humans as others do. They look upon the outward appearances, but God looks upon the heart. Friends, this story and its lesson is anything but an isolated incident in the Bible. It's one incident in a theme running through the entire Old and New Testaments. Here's some other examples. Long before David, there had been Moses, a murderer on the lam who told God that he was a terrible public speaker and didn't want the job. This was an unlikely choice to lead a nation out of slavery. There was a prophet named Amos who admitted that he was actually a tender of sycamore trees, basically a migrant farmer, another unlikely choice. Then in the New Testament, there is that crazy as a bedbug John the Baptizer who dresses abominably and dines on insects and calls people snakes, another unlikely choice to prepare the way of the Lord. But this litany of potentially bullied, the potentially underdog, the nobody, the obscure, stretches well on beyond the Scriptures. A teenager named Francis, that spoiled child of a noble Italian family from Assisi, ends up leading the church back to the care for poor and outcast. John Calvin, a nerdy, sickly brainiac with a stained pocket protector, is thrown out of the university and on the run and leads a spiritual reformation for half of Europe. Teresa, Mother Teresa, was a displaced Albanian countess with no court, no castle, before she was sent to wash the feet of the wretched of Calcutta. And Jesus himself was born in a barn to a not quite married mother, not 30 when he set out to save the world, uneducated by most standards, never traveled more than 100 miles from his home, never owned more than the clothes on his back, and died a criminal's death. Yet for billions of people, Jesus is the pivot point of human history, the core of life's meaning. So you and I, we live in a world of credentials, of work applications, of college applications, a world of AP test scores and SATs and highly selective colleges, a world of truckloads of HR criteria, an alphabet soup of degrees lined up after our names, a world that is too much into fussing about the right school and the right ideal career track and the right group of friends. There are the informal and sometimes incestuous credentials of birth status and race and personal connections. There are the unofficial, but face it, powerful credentials of physical appearance and verbal eloquence and charisma. Please don't hear me wrong. These are not intrinsically evil things unless they somehow delude us into thinking that they define us, or that they give us the power to define others. If the Bible teaches us anything, it at least teaches us the gospel truth about our identities. The gospel truth about our identities in a world that seeks so often to steal our identities from us. It's the voice that whispered to Samuel during the sons of Jesse lineup, "For the Lord doesn't see as humans see. Humans look on outward appearance, but the Lord looks upon the heart."